DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves anyone out there, yes, even you, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together in one mindset, method, philosophy, book, show, this masterclass right here that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic: there is always room for real. There is always room for real. I'll make sure I'm emphasizing that properly so you understand what I'm saying. We live in a world that you already know. We live in a world full of influencers with more on the way, experts with more coming in, authors with more books being published, podcasters, everybody's launching one, fitness models. I mean, you can browse social media, you know where to find them. Where can anyone, this is the question that I want to answer here today, where can anyone fit in and find a space for themselves that they themselves can occupy, that is not crowded, that they won't get bumped out of by somebody else? Where can you fit in when there are so many people swimming in the same pools as you? Because whatever it is you want to bring to the table, maybe there's somebody else already doing it, or maybe someone who is similar, or maybe even if you may think you're different, the average consumer may not be able to tell the difference. Where can you find your space with all of this stuff going on? And that's the question I want to answer here today. And let me give you an answer right up front. Here it is. Being who you are. That's the answer. That's what separates you from everyone else out there. Because see, the niche of being who you are, nobody can ever jump into it and be you. Somebody could jump into the niche if you say, hey, I know how to I can fix an iPhone screen when your crack is going horizontally instead of vertically. If that's your niche, somebody else can learn how to do that, and they can crowd into your pool. All right, they can turn that blue ocean red. When you have a skill, a tactic, even a strategy, even knowledge, somebody else can jump into that pool once they learn enough, or they think they know enough, or they are able to convince the consumer that they know enough. But you being you cannot be duplicated, cannot be copied, it cannot be hijacked. Nobody can jump into that niche and steal it from you. And on top of this, here's an added benefit. Being real, being you, serves itself in so many ways that I'm giving an entire masterclass to this topic because I want you to really understand what I mean when I say being you and why there's always room for real. First of all, I want to refer you to, if you don't remember, masterclass number 1239. What people crave these days, what consumers crave, is authenticity. All right, what keeps people coming back to you, coming back to your message, your book, your podcast, your free emails that you send out, your text message alerts, your Facebook chat bot, whatever it is that you got going on, your podcast, your YouTube channel, your Instagram, what keeps people coming back is authenticity. All right, that's what people crave these days. The reason why we crave authenticity so much is because there are so many people out there today, and there will be more tomorrow, who are trying to project a certain image, trying to project that they are a certain type of person that may not be the truth of who they really are. And the thing is, we're getting better and better every single day at detecting the bullshit. And as we get more and more tired of the bullshit, we get bullshit fatigue, and there's more and more coming at us. It's not going to stop even though we're fatigued of it. We crave the authentic. When something authentic and real comes our way, we are immediately drawn to it, and we stay there because it's so different from everybody else. By the law of contrast, you stand out. I told you in masterclass number 1025, the opportunity is always in the opposites. That's masterclass again, number 1025. I also told you in masterclass 205 related to this topic, how to stay authentic in your brand message. Every one of us has a brand, but if you're out there trying to build a brand, like a quote unquote brand, you got to stay authentic in that message. And again, masterclass 1239 and 205, where I talked about authenticity, refer to both of those if you do not remember everything I said in each one. Space repetition, like I talked about a couple days ago. Let's get into today's topic. Point number one, today's topic, once again, there is always room for more real. Number one, when you're being real, let me tell you what you don't have to do, okay? You won't have to think about what to say. See, when you're being real and you're being honest and you're being authentic, you don't need a script. Sometimes people tell me, I tell them, well, look, why don't you just make a video about this? Or why don't you write about this? Or do a live stream and talk about the thing that you talk about? And they say, well, I don't want to just go on and do a live or just go on and start talking, because I need to know what I'm going to say. I need to have a script. I need to figure out what exactly, what am I going to say? I want to be on camera just frozen and not knowing what I'm going to put out there. And I've seen people do this in giving live speeches. I've seen people do this in many areas of life, just being frozen or thinking that they would be frozen as to what they're going to say to an audience of people, whether that's in written format or spoken format. Here's the thing. When you're being real, you don't have to think about what to say. You just say what's on your mind. You just say what's real. When something's real, there's no script. Tell people who you are. Tell people what you're going through. Tell people what's on your mind. Tell people what your opinion is. Tell people what you want them to understand and what you want them to know. You don't need a script for that. A lot of times people get stuck on not knowing what to say. And the reason why often people get stuck on not knowing what to say is because they're trying to be something, or they're trying to project something, or they want to position themselves with a certain image that is not the real version of them. Because if it was a real version of you, you wouldn't have to think about what to say. You would just say what's on your mind. And whatever it is, it is. If people connect with it, cool. If they don't, cool. But you got to be who you are. And the people who want to connect with it will connect with it because you're speaking directly to them. People get stuck on not knowing what to say because they're trying to be something that they're not, or when they're saying something that's just not real. That's why they got to think about it. Now, if you got to think about what you're going to say, you might be saying something that's not quite so true to you. Now, there are times you want to think about what you want to say because you want to have a polished message, or you want to make sure it sounds right, or you want to make sure your points connect, or you want to make sure that it's concise. I get all of that. But at the same time, if you're just starting out, or you're just trying to find a connection, you're just trying to identify who your audience is, you're just trying to give something to your audience, and it doesn't have to be, quote, perfect, close quote. Just be real. Just be honest. Just tell people where you are, who you are, what you're about, where you're going, and invite them to come with you. All right? People will connect with that, believe it or not. You might think that they won't, but they absolutely will. You don't have to think about what to say, again, when you are keeping it real. Now, does that mean never script anything out, never write notes? Listen, I put notes down when I record this right here, but 60% of what I say is me coming off the top, just telling you what's real, telling you what I believe, what I think, what I've experienced. Because I don't have to script it out to be me. All right, there's no script to being Dre Baldwin. All right, there's no script to you being you. So if you find yourself trying to script everything that you're doing, it's because you're trying too hard to fit a mold that I don't know where you got that mold from, but take it back. All right, throw it outside, throw it in the trash. Be real and be you, and that is what people will connect with. And I guarantee you it will last a lot longer, and it will make much deeper connections with the people who do connect with you. And we're going to get to that in a moment. Point number 2. Today's topic is there's always room for more real. People are guaranteed to connect with you when you're being real. This is the second point. When you're being real, it is guaranteed that you will make connections with other people. You won't connect with necessarily everyone, quote unquote, but the right people who need to hear what you have to say will connect with you, and they're going to tune in to hear you when you're being real. And this is the challenge that people have with this point that I'm making right here, or this whole subject of there always being more room for more real, is that people want to connect with everyone, or you're looking at how much of an audience another person has, or how much of an audience you think you should have, or what you think you're supposed to be doing, and you think, well, I haven't connected with enough people yet. But here's the thing that you need to understand. Your goal is not to connect with everyone or even a lot of people. Your goal is to connect with the right people, the people who actually need what you're offering, are looking for what you're offering, and they will have a deep connection to what you're having. I heard someone say this on a book that I was recently, an audio book that I was recently listening to. He said, one raving fan is worth more than 100 satisfied customers. Let me say that one again, because this is a really strong point. One raving fan is worth more than 100 satisfied customers. That's what I mean when I'm talking about the right people. See, you don't want 1,000 surface level followers. You want 10 raving fans. All right. You'll make more money from 10 raving fans than you'll make from 1,000 surface level followers. That's a fact. You need to connect with the people. When you're being real, You're going to connect with the people who need to hear what you have to say, and they need to hear it from you. And this is the other part of it, because people say, well, look, I'm going to be a fitness instructor on YouTube. How am I going to stand out from all the fitness instructors out there, male and female? Well, you got to give them a message that only you can give, so that you connect with people who need to hear what you're saying. And you may not be the only person saying it, but they need to hear you say it. And they need to hear it the way that you deliver it. That's what separates you from those other people. In this world of vanity metrics, remember something. You don't need or even want, quote unquote, everyone in your audience. See masterclass number 1364, where the subject was rejection marketing. Yeah, you heard of attraction marketing, rejection marketing, meaning your message should show people not only who you are for, but also who you're not for. Everybody who you're not for should know that you're not for them as soon as they hear you. As soon as they get through one of your messages, they should know, all right, this is not for me. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. The more real you are in your message, let me tell you a secret, the more people you will attract that are the right people, and the more you will reject the wrong people. So if you find that you're kind of appealing to, quote, everyone, that's because you're not being real in your message. That's why everybody seems to find some type of connection. When you're being real, there are going to be people who you push away, and there are going to be people who you draw in much, much, much closer. And I want you to keep in mind that many more people will be rejected when you're being real than will be attracted. And that's what you want. Okay, you want the niche audience, the people who are so deep in that there'll be those raving fans. Point number 3. Today's topic is there's always room for more real. Number 3, you have to remember something though. While you're doing all of this, is that you are in show business. Okay, so while you're in show business, never be boring. Show business means whoever has the best show gets the business, or as long as you're putting on a show, you will have business. But if you have no show, you'll have no business. So never be boring. Never bore your audience. Be you, who you are, but you got to turn the volume up on you. Anyone who's ever been on television, or you've heard anyone talk about being on television, they say that when you're on TV, you have to be who you are, but you got to turn the energy volume up by like 2, 3, 10 times when you're on TV or when you're on video, or even when you're on stage speaking. You can't just be the normal you that you are in your everyday conversation. You got to turn the energy up a little bit, because that's the way that it transfers across through the TV screen or through the computer screen, or even to the audience when you're standing up on a stage in front of a couple of thousand people. You got to turn that energy up, even though you're still being yourself. So be you, but turn the volume up. And even if people truly connect with you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're boring to them, they're not going to stick around. All right, because nobody wants to be bored. And the thing about being bored these days, most people will never ever experience being bored, because we have these devices that are always within arm's reach that can always give us something to pay attention to, even if it's useless, even if it's not helping us in any way, shape, or form, even if it's costing us money. We always will have something that we can pay attention to. Nobody wants to be bored. Nobody needs to be bored these days. There's some value in boredom. Robert Greene talked about it in the 50th Law. If you haven't read that book, it's one of my top 5. You should read it. Be you, but make sure you turn the volume up. All right, nobody's going to stick around with somebody who's boring, no matter how useful your message may be to them. So putting on a show means giving people a reason to keep reading, keep listening, and keep watching. Something about you must draw their attention and keep their attention. Maybe you have information that they can't get anywhere else. That draws people's attention. All right, if you're giving people information that they cannot get anywhere else and they need that information, okay, they will pay attention. All right, that's not boring. If you're the only person who got that info, I'm listening. I don't care how you talk. I'm listening. Something about you. Maybe it's your style of delivery that people are attracted to. Maybe it's the way you look that people like. Maybe it's the people that you have with you. If you have guests who are always talking to somebody different, maybe that's what draws people in. Your relative celebrity. If you're a celebrity to somebody based on your space, maybe that's what draws them in. But there needs to be something about you that makes people choose you over everything else that they could be paying attention to, because we all have options these days when it comes to our attention. So make sure you keep in mind that you're competing against everything that someone could pay attention to, not just everyone else who might be doing the same thing as you. Keep that in mind. Keep it top of mind. Point number 4. Today's topic is there is always room for more real. You cannot fake realness. There's no script for being real. All right, there's no hack for realness. All right, there's no online course for being real. Someone tries to sell you an online course for being real, all right, that's your bullshit detector should be beeping very loudly. There's no faking realness. Human beings, we have a sixth sense for bullshit, as I've already talked about. And when someone is being genuine versus when they're not. And because we're being bombarded with so many messages in our media every single day, our bullshit detector is getting better and better at detecting the bullshit. Because we're getting all this training, we're getting all this exercise, we're getting this spaced repetition every single day of detecting what's real and what's not, what's bullshit, what's not, what should we pay attention to versus what we should ignore. We're getting really good at ignoring stuff. I mean, think about it. Think about when you scroll through your feeds on a Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever other platform you're using. When you're scrolling through that feed, you can't pay attention to every single thing that you come across. You would never finish, or you would never get to a point where you've consumed enough, because there will always be something else trying to grab your attention. So what we have gotten really good at, all of us unconsciously, we gotten really good at ignoring a lot of stuff that other people are doing and talking about and sharing, because otherwise we would never be able to concentrate if we had to look at everything. So we learn to filter things out, and our filters are getting better and better with every message we come across. Our filter is getting trained, or it's getting sharpened, it's getting conditioned. We're getting constant BS thrown at us, and there's some authenticity mixed in there. So we get really good at fishing out the authenticity. So when you show up authentically, like I say every single day on this show, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, when you actually do that, you will immediately stand out to the right people who need to hear it, who need to see it, who need to watch it, who need to read it. Immediately. You won't have to try. It'll just happen. But you got to be consistent, you got to be out there, and you got to put on the show. And you got to be unafraid. All right? Notice this, boldly and authentically. Don't just be authentic, you got to be bold in your authenticity. Don't be afraid to say something that might turn some people away, because for every person you turn away, you're also drawing somebody else in. Most people are so afraid of turning people away that they try to stay in the middle. And the thing is, what happens when you're in the middle is even if you get a whole bunch of people to pay attention to you, they're all surface level invested. Their investment is surface level. Meaning as soon as they get somebody else they can invest their attention in, they're going to go away from you and go to that person. They'll leave as easily as they can. When you get somebody bought in all the way because they feel the authenticity coming from you and the deep connection, those are the people that you want. You'd rather have 10 of those than 1,000 of the surface level people. Trust me. It's getting harder and harder to fake it these days, ladies and gentlemen. So save yourself time and energy. Do not try to lie to the public, because they will find out that you're lying to them. And when I say lie, I don't mean that you said something and it turned out not to be the truth. I mean, when you're presenting yourself as something other than what you actually are, that's a lie as well. When people find out that lie, they'll be gone and they ain't coming back. And they'll tell a friend. All right, people tell their friends more about the things they don't like than they tell them about the things that they do like. So make sure you're not telling a lie. Let's recap today's class, which is there's always room for more real. We live in a world of influencers, authors, podcasters, experts. How can you fit in when there's so many other people already in the pool? The niche of being who you are, the real version of you, is not taken, it can't be hijacked, and it will always be available, and it serves itself in so many ways that I gave it a whole class to this topic. Refer to masterclasses number 1239 and 205 for more on being authentic. Point number one, you don't have to think about what to say when you're being real. You don't need a script. You tell people who you are, what you're going through, where you're at, where you're going. Don't get stuck on not knowing what to say, because when you're being real, you'll just say what you want to say. Point number two, people are guaranteed to connect with you. It won't be everyone, but it'll be the right people. And as I said, you'd rather have 10 raving fans than 1,000 surface fans. See masterclass number 1364 on rejection marketing. Your message should be rejecting people. The more real you are, the more people you will reject and the more people you will attract. Remember that many more people will be rejected than attracted, though. So don't be looking at your numbers and thinking that it's all about the number. You want to reject people. If you're not rejecting anybody, you're also not attracting anybody. Keep that in mind. If you think you have a whole audience of people and you've never rejected anybody, all your audience are surface level audience members. They're surface fans, which means they will leave you just as easily as they came to you. All right, they are not worth much, surface level audience members. You want deep connected members. You'd rather have one of those than 10 surface people. Point number three, you got to remember something though. You're in show business, so never be boring. Turn the volume up on you while you're still being you. Even if people truly connect with you, if you're boring to them, they're not going to stick around. So put on a show. Give people a reason to keep reading or watching or listening to what you're doing. Something about your presentation needs to give people something that they cannot get anywhere else. Your style, your look, your guest, your celebrity, something about you makes them choose you over everything else they could be paying attention to. Point number 4, you can't fake real. Human beings have a sixth sense for bullshit, and when someone's being genuine, when they're not, we can tell when someone's keeping it real and when they're not keeping it real. And we are getting better at it every single day because we're getting constant training of BS versus authenticity every time we open up our social feeds or our email inboxes or even just talk to people these days. Which means it's getting harder and harder to fake it. It's getting harder and harder to bullshit these days. People can tell fake from a mile away. We used to not be as good at it, but we're getting better at it every single day. So if people find out that your presentation is a lie, they will never come back, and they're going to tell 10 of their friends about it to make sure they never make the mistake that the original person made. So being real, there is always room for it. You can never have enough real. Work on your game. Dre all day.